So, we are
John Costino, and we have Dr. Eddie Rose for round two. Matt, how many times do you think we can get this fine gentleman to join us for these interviews?
as many times as we can before he kicks us out. That's how we're gonna do. We need a lot of interviews, I think, because Dr. Rose's messages are so awesome. And just check this out real quick. Why you guys are tuning in? So I know that it says on your screen or on some of the screens it says, becoming a real life superhero. And who doesn't want to be a superhero? I mean, I know I do.
We all think we are. We actually think we are, and
Yeah.
then we get brought back to reality. And Dr. Rose he spends a lot of time talking to Matt and I, and we're very, very blessed. But he has the ability to help any one of us actually feel and become like a superhero.
Absolutely.
And anything you want to share to kick this off? Because we're going to cover a whole lot of different things over a whole lot of different interviews if you'll let us.
Yeah. If you study, I'm a student of history, and you look back, especially unusual history, about things that are spiritual and, psychic and all that type of things. And you go back and you find out every society had their superheroes. And they had, and in every spiritual development had either someone they emulated or people that did had superpowers, that did amazing things, and most of my study has been in, Hebrew and Jewish history, and, people like Samson, crazy stories. I
Didn't
love
Samson
them.
have a lot of hair?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Samson
yeah.
had the
He
hair.
always cut
That's
that
right.
hair.
He was a Nazite, and he had an oath to God, and because he made that oath to God, he had this incredible strength. They just made a movie about it. It's a new movie about Samson that was on Netflix, and it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. But anyways, you got so many stories in Chinese history. They have people. If you watch an old kung fu movie that's made in China, you see guys jumping over buildings, and they would be chased by these army guys, and then they would jump over the building. Of course, the army guys couldn't do it. So, and that is one of the attributes. I think the Chinese call the 7 heavenly attributes. One of the things would be able to defy gravity. So you got all these different cultures that have these people who have superpowers. In the Indian culture, they're called cities. And there's something that you developed from meditation and spiritual development. So everybody has it. So the Marvel universe, the Marvel corporation is breaking all the records as far as movies because people are attracted to that. Somewhere inside, people want to be superheroes.
Right.
And my theory, my argument is that we are. We've just been programmed to think in lack. We've been programmed to think in weakness or dependency. And as we get rid of those programs, we begin to see that we're capable of so much more than what we are normally.
How incredible is that? If you think about it, I agree with you. We all want to be superheroes, but deep down inside, don't we all think that we have that power? We just haven't figured it out yet. So what if Dr. Rose told you that that super strength could be real?
Yeah.
Telekinesis, moving things with your mind, is real. In basically not feeling pain, right? Courage, drumming up courage, superhero strength and courage. It's all real stuff, and what we're gonna do is actually bring it to you, so you can bring out that inner superhero that's inside.
Right.
It's not as if like, oh, that guy is so great. It's like, no, you're so great, and that is the coolest thing of all. And with this whole thing, you watch John and I. We talk a lot about the different spiritual things, but we started talking about this. It's not, John and I aren't just about spirituality. Dr. Rose is not just about spirituality. It's the mind, the body, and the spirit.
Correct.
So there's gonna be a lot of stuff to bring in.
Right.
Like Dr. Rose has a backstory that we could spend hours talking about, and we'll go into that a little bit, but we want to get into the topic at hand. But think about this. It's like things that improve your mind, improve your body and spirit. Things that improve your body, improve your mind and your spirit. So it's all tied in. So we'll bring you different things, physical things to improve your life, spiritual things, and of course mental as well. So it all ties in.
Yeah.
And to debunk anybody saying whether or not it's real, I'm going to tee up 2 softballs and you can whack them both out of the park.
Sure.
Because we've already talked about this. You mentioned throughout history and cultures, in our current society today, there are thousands of stories and examples of superhuman strength. A
Absolutely.
grandmother who sees their grandchild
Right.
run over by a car, and then
Right.
out of their, they lift the back end of the car.
Exactly.
Like, it's a little old grandma. So they can't explain it other than
Right.
it's somehow the mind overriding the
Yeah.
conscious, I'm not strong enough.
Right.
And then the second thing to debunk it is we've all heard the term placebo effect.
Exactly.
And no one really understands what it is because no one talks about it. But
Mhm.
placebo is the absolute
Absolutely.
scientific, physical, anatomical
Mhm.
proof that you can have a disease
Right.
and you could be a part of a test study and they're getting the pharmaceutical drugs
Absolutely.
and you're getting a placebo sugar pill.
Mhm.
And yet there are thousands of examples of people that heal themselves
Correct.
because they're getting a sugar pill. So you're not being cured of
Right.
anything by a
Right.
pharmaceutical drug if you're consuming a sugar pill.
Right.
But there's the placebo effect. So I'm setting this up so Dr. Eddie
Right.
Rose right now can explain how the mind really
Yeah.
does control all
Right,
that.
right, because your unconscious mind or your subconscious mind, I usually use them interchangeably, but that is the master control of everything. And then we could get into details about the brain, you know, the different parts of the brain, and what they do, but just generally doing it in one lump sum of, say, the unconscious mind, it controls everything that's going on in your body. And I believe that it is, they did a study and they came up with this figure that 2.3 million to 2.3 billion, your brain can do 2.3 to 2.3 billion things at one time.
Wow.
That's your unconscious mind.
Multitask.
I'm doing good if I do 3 things at one time, you know, and I'm probably not going to do them really that
I was
great.
gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, that's not multitasking. I'm learning how to do that. But your unconscious mind is controlling every system in your body. You've got, you know, the respiratory system, the circulatory system, the the lymphatic system, go down the whole line, central nervous system. It's controlling all that right now, and it's amazing to mathematical perfection. So what I simply say is, what happens if we tap into that and allow that part of our brain to solve some of our problems,
Wow,
whether
yeah.
physically, mentally, emotionally? Why don't we allow that part of the brain to do that? And so, and that's part of my experimentation, so to speak, is that I'm putting that to test. It's happened in my life.
Mhm.
You know, I've had amazing things happen, you know, and the one, I think, I don't know if I mentioned before, but I had a spine disease. And I was diagnosed with acute cervical stenosis. And the issue is stenosis is something that can be taken care of maybe, but mine was degenerative. So the doctor said pretty much not much they can do. They could do these, they had surgery that they mentioned, and I said, well, what's the percentage of success? And they said 40%. I said, no, thank you. Not when I could be paralyzed if they made a mistake.
Right.
No. So, and I didn't want to do narcotics because I knew what that was going to lead to.
Yeah.
You know, for pain. You
Right.
start going down that, that slippery
You're a
slope.
lifelong customer.
Yeah, you go down a slippery slope, and then now you're addicted to it, and I didn't want that. And so and where I was at, I'd long been spiritual. At this time, it's probably happened maybe 9-10 years ago when I had this issue. And I was trying everything. I do the energy work. I do Qigong. I've been doing Qigong for many, many years. I was trying to solve the problem with diet. I was trying to solve the problem in many different ways. Nothing was really working. And so I remember that, I didn't use hypnosis, and hypnosis is amazing for pain. So I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to record my own voice on an MP3. And I'm gonna listen to it.
Wow.
Yeah, listen to it every night.
Nice.
And that's what I did. So I recorded my voice and I went through whatever, the induction and everything, and then I would put my headphones on at night when I went to bed, and I listened to it. And it took a few weeks, maybe 3 weeks, before I started really noticing where the pain was going.
Wow.
And got to a point that I could, because at the time I couldn't work.
Oh,
I
that
just-
bad.
I couldn't function. It was chronic pain. It was terrible. Every 24 hours of pain. It's tough. I used to cry myself to sleep sometimes. It's just crazy. And you don't really appreciate what chronic pain is until you actually have it.
Oh, yeah.
And so the pain was leaving. And it got to a point that the pain was gone. I was able to get a job. I was go back to work again, start functioning, and start getting back into working out a little bit because I couldn't work out.
Right.
It was impossible. I was putting on weight. It was just crazy. And so, but all these things were starting to improve. So I went back to the doctor, and they did an MRI. Gone.
No.
Really?
No stenosis.
Oh, wow.
That was amazing. That changed everything for me because I was doing all these things and nothing was working, and it was really actually depressing because you're involved with all these different alternative health things and none of them were working.
Yeah.
You know, you start feeling kind of bad about yourself, and so and then everything changed. And the conclusion that I came to is that it doesn't matter what the modality is. If you have blockages in your brain, you have bad programming in your mind, that could be your problem. You could have the whole universe of energy that's all ready to come to your aid, but it has to go through the editor of the mind.
And most of that's, I don't know the percentages, I'm not a doctor, but I do play one on here on the video. Most of our programming, most of our thoughts and behaviors and patterns are on a subconscious level, correct?
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to go through all the stuff you don't even know about. It's
Yeah.
just, it's so ingrained from your childhood and who knows where
Right.
else. So you have to tackle through that, but you're saying is take that, and now that's working for us now. That's where it's happening.
Absolutely.
Because your conscious mind can only handle a little bit.
Correct.
You gotta make sure you gotta get your meetings. You gotta make sure you don't crash in that car in front of you. You gotta make sure you're taking care of dinner for the kids.
Right.
So you use that subconscious mind to work for you and help heal you.
Right, and we don't realize how much our unconscious mind or our subconscious mind is working for us.
Right.
Because a lot of times you ever drive down the road and then all of a sudden you say, wow, I just drove 10 miles.
Yeah.
Not only remember it, your
Yeah.
mind was going somewhere else. That was your unconscious mind doing that. Your unconscious mind had total control. And so there's a lot of things that we do. We daydream, and there's a lot of things that our unconscious mind kind of sneaks in and takes care of for us. And so, people, I'm sure you've heard it said that we only use 5%
Yeah.
of our brain.
I heard
Well, that's not correct. We use 100% of our brain.
Mhm.
We're only conscious of 5%.
Okay.
And that 5% is what we try to take on everything in life.
Gotcha.
So that 5%, is where your willpower is, where your critical analysis is, where your intellect is. All that is what you're trying to work with.
Mhm.
And there's another 95% that
There.
that's
we're not
there
tapping
that we're
into.
not tapping into. And
Wow.
my thing is that one of the reasons why I'm doing hypnosis now, and I've kind of put everything else on hold. I do a bunch of stuff. I do martial arts, qigong, energy work. I do a lot of things. I put all that stuff on hold to do hypnosis because I want to help people get past the bad programming. I want to kind of focus on people, look at me and say, okay, this is a guy I can come to. If I had this problem for 20 years, come to me, I'm going to help you. It's not me that's doing it. I'm going to help you discover how to tap into your true self, who you really are. That's that superhero guy that you, or superhero woman that you
Yeah.
are.
And it's just amazing. So people we're coming live right now, just if you could chime in, who would not benefit from getting rid of stress? Or do you suffer from anxiety or chronic pain or any of these debilitating things in our lives? Imagine being able to program your body and your mind to release that.
Yes.
How would your life
Yes.
improve? How would you live every day if you didn't have a sore back? If you didn't have
Right.
anxiety where you couldn't even go up in
Paralyzing
clouds?
fear, yeah.
Exactly. If you lived your life without fear, you would be a superhero. That's the
Yeah.
whole thing about
That's right.
superheroes. Your courage comes from not living in fear, but living past the fear, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
going through it. So imagine if you can do that. And it's kind of like for my some of the people that are part of my audience will say, we're going to kind of bring it down a level. So we'll say, so like what superhero would you want to be like?
Right.
Because in the future episodes, you can even chime in and let us know, like, hey, do you want to be able to learn how to use mind powers like Professor X, or do you want to have healing powers like Wolverine, or superhero strength like Superman, right?
Yeah.
Or super good looks like John Costino, whatever it is.
Oh, that might be too far.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah,
the
you're
that's
pushing
the-
it to.
that's the- So, but these things are all in your grasp except for the last one. And it's like, you can do that, and Dr. Rose can help you, and it actually helps us, let us know kind of the things that you're interested in, because
Right.
you, let's be honest, you don't really care what he knows. You want to know what you can do, right?
That's
So
right.
why don't you become an active participant and let us know kind of what you're looking for. And then Dr. Rose will tap into that. But I know one of the huge things you're into right now is alleviating chronic pain and anxiety.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to talk about that for a little bit, or however you got, I mean, whatever is on your heart, because
Sure.
anything he says is going to help.
Yeah, it's for me, it's just been a crazy discovery, because that me being ill and having that miraculous healing opened up a whole universe to me, and so I started getting hungry. And,
Oh.
I got hungry to want to learn more, and then because until you search, you don't know what's out there.
Right.
And I start finding out this stuff is crazy. It's stuff that you don't get taught. It's so simple. It's like, for instance, dealing with pain. Pain is a sensory communication to the brain. Your brain determines if something hurts or not. So when you touch your hand, it's the same senses, it's the same nerves. As I usually have a pin, I can stick it or rub it, which one hurts? Well, your brain determines on which one hurts. And sometimes people are out of whack and they have fibromyalgia or something like that,
And
where
everything
everything hurts. It's crazy, but it's all here. So I've discovered a way of turning it off here. Now that's a power that you have to handle very, meticulously and with wisdom, and I do that. One time I smashed my foot, and I was like, perfect time to do this. Pain gone. And then I was like, pain's gone. Then I thought to myself, I better look at my foot and make sure it's okay. Last thing I want to do is to promote something that's damaged.
Right.
So what I teach people, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional pain, that the pain is a messenger. So when you receive pain is not bad. Pain can tell you that something's wrong.
Right.
On whatever level it is. So once you recognize the pain, you acknowledge it, and then you understand where that pain is coming from, and then you're going to deal with it as something then you can turn it off.
Right.
The messenger gave you the message, you've accepted the message, you reviewed the message, and then you say to the messenger, bye.
That makes sense.
Somebody comes and brings a message and everything. I come here and look at it, open it up. I see what it is and everything. I say, okay, I got it. This is for me. Bye. And the messenger leaves.
Right.
But you don't ask the messenger to come in and live with you.
Right.
You don't make a bump for them and start feeding them.
That's
and
a
that's
good
what we're
analogy.
taught to do. We're taught to live in pain. When you live in pain, it becomes suffering.
Yeah.
And suffering is an illusion. I don't believe in suffering. I don't believe that we need to suffer anymore. But pain is something that you have to have wisdom with.
Right.
So when somebody comes to me and asks me about, something that hurts them, I ask them, have you seen a doctor about it? What is your diagnosis? What are you doing to take care of that? Because if it's something serious, for instance, a back pain. I just don't take away back pain until the person actually finds out what the pain is. But once they discover what it is, then once they're in the process of getting that problem healed, pain goes like that. Easy, simple. But we've been programmed to live in pain. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, how many times you say, "Oh, I have a bad back," or I have this, or I have that back. Yeah, you do. Yeah, 'cause you keep telling yourself you have that all the time.
Right.
How about
Absolutely.
you tell yourself a different message, and then you kind of reframe that. You could have an injury,
Yeah.
but you know what I'm saying? Like you're
Absolutely.
reaffirming that you're sick, or that you're hurt, or that you're in pain every single day. It's like when people get in the mirror and they do like their mirror work, like you are worthy, you
Yes.
are good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you are, but it's the same thing if you do the opposite. Like, oh, I'm old. Oh, I have a bad hip, or
Right.
I am whatever. You know what I mean? It's
Whatever,
just it's
whatever
now.
you focus on.
Exactly.
Now you brought something up. I apologize for interrupting your thought.
No,
earlier,
no.
But you triggered something that I would love for people to hear.
Sure.
You worked with your mom after a stroke.
My dad.
Your dad after a stroke.
Right.
And had amazing results
Yeah, I mean,
that the doctors could not explain.
right.
Would you mind
My
sharing a
dad-
little bit of that story? Because I
Well-
know so many people out there are like, well, how does this help me? What could it do for me?
Right, and you know, and it's this is not something that's woo woo way out there, you know, because I actually had a conversation with the physician that was taking care of my dad, and I was saying, this is what I'm doing, just so you know. And he said, okay, continue, you know. And so basically, what it is that stroke, when a stroke happens, and this is really in the simplistic form. I'm not trying to be a doctor.
No, listen.
I am not a medical doctor. But so what happened was that the stroke produced a certain amount of brain damage. It damaged a part of the brain. And so when my dad had a stroke, it was a massive stroke. At the time, you know, it was life threatening, and so he couldn't talk. He was totally paralyzed in his right side. Couldn't do anything on the right side of his body. Just obviously, the damage was on the left side of the brain, so it affected the right side. And so, I lost my train of thought here, but and he couldn't talk. At the beginning, he had no memory, which is crazy to know who anybody was. Now, after, you know, through whatever that was in the hospital, he got his memory back, but he still was limited in his ability to talk. And thank God for, you know, the doctors, what they were doing, and then he was going through, what's it called, rehab. And so all those things were a part of the equation. But what I did to help him to where he gained everything back, because he was 80 years old. So, you know, normally people who have strokes at that age, many times they don't
They just
recover.
write them off, right?
Yeah, they don't recover. And so what I explained to Dad was that the same way that years ago, I don't know how it is now, but years ago, whenever the power went out in the neighborhood, you know, let's say a capacitor blew up, and then the lights would all go out. And then about 10, 15 minutes, all the lights come back on. Well, they didn't fix the capacitor that fast. You know, a lot of times the trucks weren't even there to make the repair. What they did is they recircuit the electrical, you know, reroute the currency, and so that everybody's lights could come back on. And it's the same way the brain works. So when I was telling my dad that, I was encouraging him that this is what the process is doing. You got to fight for it. You got to speak to yourself, because talking is, you know, you talk, it's using your brain. And I won't get into the detail of that, but the same area that controls you speaking things has a control in other parts of the central nervous system. So when you say I'm sick, you're opening the door for you to get sick. You know, I'm sick and tired of this. Well, I don't use those kind of words anymore because I don't want to be sick.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be
Tired.
tired.
Right.
So I don't use that. So if something I don't, you know, I might not like something.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like it, but I don't use that sick and tired phrase anymore because I'm just producing what I don't want. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So I encourage my dad. I don't get into too much detail, but I encourage my dad and I helped him walk through, you know, this thing. And so now the end result is that he's doing great. He's 88 years old. He's independent. He lives by himself. He drives. He's got. I mean, he's functioning. He remembers stuff that I don't remember.
Yeah.
He said, "I remember this," and I'm like, "Damn, I was 8 years old." He said he remembers it. You know, so I'm very happy, and I encouraged him, and I believe I was a part of that because I encouraged him, do not be limited. Don't
Right.
think that, because before he could barely walk, you know, and before he was wheeling around in a wheelchair all the time, you know, and now he's walking, you know, and he's 88 years old, so sometimes he needs a cane or a walker, especially late at night, you know, but it was an amazing thing. So, and these things are just additions to, you know, what we already know how to do. Does that make sense?
That makes absolute
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
It is. The
So-
power of thought and
Thank you for
Absolutely.
sharing that.
Yeah, so it's, you know, so this is not something that, you know, like, you know, some weird thing where I just touch you on the head, fall on the floor, and then suddenly you're healed. You know, I'm not saying it's not possible.
They were tuning in to see if you were
Yeah,
going to make Matt and I
yeah.
cluck like chickens.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
that was-
yeah.
that was
I
your
got a
shot.
few tricks up my sleeve, so I'm being careful, yeah.
So it makes perfect sense that everything we're talking about right now is like real life. And that was one thing that was really important John and I were talking about before we got here to Dr. Rose's office, is that if some people are into the metaphysical, into the spiritual, into whatever, and it's absolutely fantastic, but we want to speak to people also along the lines that are just regular people, regular dudes, you know what I mean? And bring this type of stuff, like someone that usually, I don't know, goes, I'm just gonna be very stereotypical, all over me. Like if you like, dude like goes to the drum circle and he's putting patchouli all over him and he's wearing his feathers and everything, like that dude is really usually probably open to this type of message, you know what I mean? It's like they're already, that's the thing they're into. But the guy that's 21, 22 years old that spends most of the time watching football and drinking beers and chased after girls or whatever, like.
I mean, a guy like that goes to Miller's Ale House and watches UFC.
Exactly. Like, yeah. So basically, like, let's show to everybody how this relates to everybody. And this isn't just some, like Dr. Rose said, not just some spiritual foo stuff. It's like, oh, I'm gonna pull it out of the air, you know, out of the ether, because there is a truth to a lot of it. But if it doesn't sit and you don't listen and you don't hear it, you're not going to gain any benefit from it, and it's not going to help you. You have to digest and be like, all right, I want that. Like, show me more, because he can give you the best message in the world, but if you're not listening, it's not going to help. So we're going to try to, I don't want to say dumb it down, that's not the right word, but we'll make it more digestible. We'll water it down, the message a little bit. That way it's accessible for everybody, and then if you're ready for more, definitely private message this guy. If you want to come in, if you're in the Southwest Florida area, you can physically come here. You can do things online, on the phone, all these different things. And I don't know if you maybe can throw a couple different things like I did before of future videos. Maybe like I can show them how to do this or this. And maybe today, I don't put you on the spot, maybe you can give them something they can start to do right now to show them how they really are a superhero, and they can practice it until your next video. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know.
I don't know, yeah.
So it's kind of, they'll let you kick it around your subconscious mind that we were talking about, and your conscious. But healing, right? We talk about that, healing your body, chronic pain, getting rid of the pain, because the opposite's true too. Like you mentioned fibromyalgia, everything causes pain, but there's also those people that are born with that disorder where they don't feel any pain. They usually don't live too long because they end up breaking things or getting injuries and they don't feel it. So you can shut the pain off. You can shut it off, turn it on to a certain level, right? So your mind, the pain, the chronic pain, imagine getting up out of bed every day and feeling good and not being in pain and not having that anxiety that's holding you back from getting that new job or talking to that person or doing whatever, and living, like people say, your best life. Like living your best life like a superhero, like you're confident, you're feeling strong, you're not in pain, and you don't care. Something happens, I have courage. Imagine living like that. Well, you can. That's the whole point, right? And you should. That's the more important thing. You're supposed to be living like that. You're not supposed to be throwing tons of pills to numb your body and your mind, and your spirit and your soul. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to live. That's what it's about. Life is about living, right? Not about just sustaining, and not just about getting through the day and just living a life like this until you're dead. It's about living. So why not the amount of time that we have on this earth? Why don't we enjoy it, right?
Absolutely.
So that's
what
I
it's
view
really
it all.
about.
So
Absolutely.
So you can be a superhero, and you should be a superhero.
That's right.
That's what I think.
You are a superhero.
Yeah.
You just didn't get the script yet.
Yeah. You just didn't know.
And the answer is not to be bombarded with gamma rays or some of the bit by a spider, radioactive spider, or be a super genius billionaire that can create all kinds of.
That's okay though.
Yeah, that's all cool. That's great for movies, but in real life, it's all about changing your lifestyle, and it starts here. And as you change the way you think and understand that you're much more capable. We were talking about lifting a grandmother or a mother lifting the car off the child. Science. Neuroscience is beginning to understand that we're capable of doing that. That is something that before it was just something that happened and nobody had any answers. Now the neuroscience is beginning to study more and more about the brain and is understanding that we're capable of doing things, that are way beyond what we've been programmed to believe. Limited to, exactly. And so my encouragement is that and how I've done it, to speak for myself, I'm my own guinea pig, is one by one I've dealt with things. I still work out and I still do things, and I think I'm 20, you know, and I go and I do something, and then, you know, a couple hours later, I feel like I'm ready to go on traction. Well, what do I do? Do I go and do some kind of narcotic? Do I do? No, I simply do practice what I preach. And I practice on myself, and then dun dun dun, it's gone. And then I'm back to normal again. And then I think about, okay, maybe next time I won't pretend I'm 20, maybe 25.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And then I go, and that's what I do. I try to find that happy medium where I don't have to you know, fix myself. But
Right.
ultimately, my goal is to be able to do what I could do
Right.
when I was 20, you
Mhm.
know, and not 25.
Right, right. Because
Pretty good.
a lot of that stuff holding us back is because we think,
Absolutely.
oh, I'm old,
Yes.
I can't do that stuff anymore.
Right.
Well, you can.
Yeah.
Well,
You
think
just
about people
can't.
saying, I'm too old.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's a
Mhm.
phrase that just flows naturally. I'm too
Absolutely.
old for that. Why?
Right. Exactly.
Because you think you are,
Right.
right?
And there's things that we've accepted in our society. There's things that illnesses, limitations,
Mhm.
you know, things of that nature that we've accepted, and we've been programmed to accept it. And I'm sorry, I don't accept those things.
Because a lot of things is so you can buy the cure. You know what I mean? So you can buy the cure. That's what most of it's going to be for. So
We just want.
here's the big thing. The big thing is going to be we're gonna bring a lot of things to you. We're gonna bring a lot of things to you over the course of X amount of time, right? But let's just say this. Maybe you guys can give us a few things that you'd like to learn. You know what I mean? And we can start off with those videos there. Well, like we talked about before, is there something? And I mean, we'll wait till this video comes up as well.
Yeah. Mhm.
But is there something that speaks to your heart that you really want to help people with?
Well, you know, the thing that I guess I focus more on is anxiety, stress, and
Put them on, Don? Start it over, put them on? Yeah.
It just started.
We're having some technical
Yeah.
difficulties.
We'll figure out if
Facebook,
this was
right.
a Facebook Live that was saved or not.
yeah, right.
Still live on YouTube.
Absolutely, we're coming at you on YouTube. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
So I was saying, stress, anxiety, and pain. Those are the areas that I think that we all have a tendency to be plagued with, and those are the things I focus on the most. I'm very passionate about it. When, you know, before it was just kind of seeing, okay, maybe I could help some people, maybe not. You know, maybe this is good for some times, maybe not other times. But the more that I practice it, the more I research it, the more I'm finding out, and it's really amazing. Anybody has a brain.
Yeah.
If you don't have brain damage,
Yeah.
this will work for you. It's crazy. And so I am, you know, I'm constantly, you know, my philosophy, you know, in all that I do falls under the Tiger Flower School, my martial arts, the energy work, even the hypnosis. You know, it's the program that I do is called Rose Hypnosis. It still falls under that. And the motto for the Tiger Flower School is application is everything.
Yes.
So that's been my life. I learned something, I discovered something, and then my next thing is how do I apply it to real life? I'm not interested in just doctrines or beliefs or theories. I want to see how does this work.
Mhm.
And so because I've had that attitude, I've seen some amazing things.
Mhm.
And so the things I'm talking about is not just something that, you know, I read somewhere.
It's not books or studies.
Right,
It's
exactly.
application.
It's about application. It's about actually putting it to work. And so, and I'm my own guinea pig. If it don't work for me, I'm not really going to give it to you guys. You know, I'm going to see. Okay, there's all kinds of stuff I can talk about.
Right.
But I'm just experimenting. I don't even know how it works yet. But you know, but understanding that, and then confidence. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and I have to admit, there's times where, you know, there's certain areas I just didn't have any confidence in.
Mhm.
And it affected me how I acted, and how I walked and functioned in life. Now I discovered that confidence is just a matter of, I love it.
Yeah.
Healing.
Yeah.
Snapping fingers. Hypnotists love to snap our fingers because that's how fast it can happen.
Wow.
Crazy. Love it. And so it just opens up a whole new universe. It's very exciting for me. I'm very passionate about it. I put everything else on hold in my life to do this work right now, to get that ball rolling. Then later on, I'll step and do other things once I get that that particular program running and do other things. I love martial arts. I love the energy work. I love all these things. They're all connected. You know, the stuff that I can do in martial arts is reflex. That's when stuff becomes reflex.
Right.
That's
That's
when you're
ultimate.
badass.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is when
Yeah.
you're not thinking about it. I need
Yeah.
to do this technique and that technique. It just happens.
Same.
Your unconscious mind takes over.
That's
So
that's instinct versus.
that's right.
Practice.
It's right.
Like, sorry, that was a reflex. I didn't mean to hit
You got to do repetition, and now I do the repetition, and I don't have to do as many repetitions. I'm getting a little older now, so I don't do as many repetitions. I got to do the reps. But now I got the unconscious mind saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
you want to do this, huh?
Yeah.
Okay,
Got you.
And it takes over, so that when somebody does something, it's like in
Yeah.
in the Matrix.
Slow
At
motion.
the end of the movie when Neo was fighting
Turning.
Agent, Smith agent, yeah, he just like Bob just turned his head. It was
Yeah.
just like that is reflex. I mean,
Yeah.
that is unconscious mind taking over, and that makes martial arts even more exciting because I'm capable of doing things that I wasn't capable of doing just purely by athleticism. Now I got some other part of me that's kicking in.
Yeah, you're taking yourself to the next
Yes.
level, and the next level, and the next level.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get too far because we want to
Yeah.
be able to have stuff in the future as well.
Sure.
But I personally would like to ask you two things. One would be secondary after the first thing would be how they can get more information, how they can contact you.
Right.
But first, is there anything that they can do right now on their own? Because there's a lot they
Yeah.
can't.
Mhm.
I know they can't, but is there anything small that people could do to start to improve their lives on their own? Maybe right now, I don't know, kind of put you on the spot right now.
Yeah,
But big or small.
You
until
know,
next time.
it's the thing that every modality, any health modality, all spirituality. If you're an athlete, anything that you do, you have to. It's breath control is so essential, and you can't live without it, right? Anybody live without breathing?
Nope.
I don't know anybody.
No.
You gotta breathe, and so that your unconscious mind controls your breath. Right? You don't think about every second about, all right, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. You don't do that. Like your unconscious mind. But it's really interesting because when you work on your breath, your unconscious mind is like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And so it takes attention. So you're breathing, and so what happens is that as you are controlling your breath, your unconscious mind, if you put the time in, your unconscious mind kind of gives you freedom. Now, if you hold your breath, what happens? You just hold your breath and just say, I refuse to breathe. What do you think's going to happen?
Makes you breathe eventually.
You pass out.
Yeah.
And then you take the unconscious mind, knocks you out. It's like, this guy's stupid, I'm going to knock him out.
Yeah.
And then it takes over the breathing.
Yeah.
And then it becomes the unconscious reflex again. Okay, but when you breathe, that's why breathing is involved with everything. In martial arts, in Qigong, when I used to play hoops, my breath really determined on whether I was going to make that shot or not.
Yeah.
They used to say, why do I keep missing my shots? They said, because you're holding your breath. I take a shot, I hold my breath, and then I throw it off. Why do I do it? You got to breathe out. When you pull back, you breathe out, and then it makes swish.
Yeah, okay.
That is, and you can do that. You can name that any sport.
Mhm.
It's always about how you breathe. Breathing is so important. So in hypnosis, one of the things that I do consistently is I have people breathe.
Wow.
So I
Okay.
inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. You can control your heart rate. You can control release of hormones. It's crazy.
Wow.
So I don't even I can really encourage people to do without me actually instructing them.
Right.
There's no instant thing, and there's a couple things I can think of, but there's certain things that you want to teach people,
Right.
lay a foundation. I learned a couple things about pain. It's so simple and it's so insane, but you got to kind of prepare people because you don't want them doing crazy stuff
Right.
and doing the technique because it works,
Yeah.
and then they don't.
Take the pain away?
Yeah,
Wow.
right. So,
That's a reason for people to come here
That's
and
right,
either see
that's
you in
right.
person or
Right.
we'll figure out a way to do an event for people.
yeah. It has to. Some things have to. You need wisdom.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so breath is the thing. So I would say if you're a meditator, do your breathing. If you're not, you deal with stuff through breath. You ever hear that? Take 10 breaths.
I was gonna say, do you have a guidance for them? Because I've heard all kinds of crazy hold for 7, hold for 3, breathe in, hold. Like, do you have a technique that you could share with people that you find works best?
By consciously doing it, natural, You know, when I teach Qigong, I teach people how to breathe in through their nose and out through their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is something, and there, you know, that goes into everything's connected. So when I
Yes.
talk about, oh, you do this and do that, and you know, it's all connected because everything that's orchestrated by your brain. Does that make sense?
Right.
So there's a lot of people that learn things in different areas, but they get limited because they don't understand that it's all connected to everything else.
Mhm.
So the stuff that I've learned about my mind has an effect on everything.
Right.
The stuff that I learned, what I can do physically. But the thing is that breath is something that you do, is one of the things that you do that is unconscious, but you can take control of it.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Absolutely.
and you know, breathing even when you sing. You know, singing, you're taking.
That's
right. You're taking singing
Cat's out of
lessons.
the bag now. Putting on a show for all y'all soon, don't you worry.
Oops.
No, it's all good. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
one of the major things about singing is
Breathing.
breath.
Absolutely.
Yeah, breathing in and you know, and so that is something that people can do and apply it.
Mhm.
Let your intuition guide you.
Absolutely.
You know, if you're upset about something, start breathing, taking deep breath, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And intentionally doing that changes your physiology. Horrible stuff. And your unconscious mind is saying, wait a minute. And if you do that consistently, you do it over a period of time, you know, all of a sudden you find yourself doing it naturally. And then after a while, you don't get angry the way you did before. You're dealing with pain. If any woman that had a child knows that they teach breathing, if, you know, because that is something that,
Got
you know,
to.
that's whoa. You know, us guys, we like shake our heads and say,
We
wow.
can't handle that.
Yeah,
that's for
no,
sure.
that's why women have such an incredible pain tolerance.
They are.
You know, and so, but breathing is the way of minimizing that, you know, so that would be the thing that I would share with people, just practice that.
Now check this out. I believe so. Kind of like this, like in the breathing, and I heard you before. There's a certain thing you can do. It depends on what your goal is, because different types of breathing will bring up different emotions or different things. Because just like the Eskimos have a ton of different words for ice. You know, we have ice. They have a whole vocabulary just for ice.
Yeah.
It's like the breathing. There's different types of
Absolutely.
breathing, different techniques. So that'd be a
Absolutely.
whole other video. That would be on itself, right? That'd be really cool. Wouldn't that be cool?
That's a science in itself.
Ooh, you're right. That's gonna be
Really
cool.
is. And Qigong, as you study
Yeah.
Qigong, you got there's so many, it's like 104 breathing techniques you gotta learn.
Just to
Right?
breathe.
Yeah.
Something that you
Yeah.
do naturally, and you have to
Yeah.
learn the right way to do it. You've been breathing your whole life, and you're still
Yeah.
not doing it right. You know what I mean?
there's-
We don't take deep breaths.
No,
We
we're
don't-
we're shallow breathers. When we were babies, we were deep breathers. You ever watch a baby be
Mhm.
very you know, belly breathers? They breathe and they breathe deep, you know, and they need to because their body is
the
growing.
oxygen.
Yes, they need that, you know. But over the years, we get in a habit. Once
Very
again, it's
shallow.
programmed. We're shallow breathers. That is something I always have to work on. It's something that it's a program that I'm constantly having to keep in check because I have a tendency not to want to breathe, but at least I know how to breathe.
Mhm.
You know, and Qigong is something that they really put a lot of stress on breath, and there's all types of different breaths, and you can do all kinds of different things with it. It's a whole science, and this is something. The point of making is that it's an involuntary action. So you don't think about breathing. You're not saying, oh please, I hope I breathe tonight
Yeah.
when you go to bed. You don't
Right.
do that because it's something
It's
that
like a heartbeat. It's just gonna happen.
Absolutely, it just happens. But when you start practicing breath, what you're doing is your unconscious mind begins to trust you.
Oh, okay.
See,
So you're
it
doing
begins to,
something.
yeah, it begins to trust you, and it gives you a little more freedom, And you have people that are clam divers, that or oyster divers that go and they go on and it's uncanny what they're capable of doing, but they had to practice that. That was something, and
Yeah,
that's
they're done with
something.
like 3 and 4 minutes.
Yes,
It's
and
crazy.
it demonstrates that we as humans can do that. But if we're breathing shallow, and that changes everything. That has to do with pain, that has to do with emotions, it has to do with everything when you learn how to breathe. And so when I do hypnosis, one of the techniques that I use is getting people to focus on their breath. And as they focus on their breath, they automatically begin to relax. And then if I get someone who's a meditator, or somebody who has some kind of training and with breathing. I don't have to. It takes all the work from me because
Right.
they automatically go where we need them to go, and then at that point, it's just knowing technique and having skill to guide them to where they want to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
crazy
amazing.
stuff. Yeah, it's
So it goes
really
down
amazing.
to how good do you want to be? Like
Yeah.
you can go home, you can go to your job, go home, and numb your mind, put the TV on.
Yeah.
And if that's what you aspire to in life, that you're comfortable where you're at right now, and you don't want to grow, that's cool. But if you want to become the best you and unlock those doors that are inside your mind and your body, and learn to see what kind of superhero you really are capable of, then I would just keep tuning in, because why not learn how great you can be? What's the alternative? Just being mind numbed until you die? You know what I mean? To see how great you can become, and it's just these different things. Like, I'm guessing you're not coming up with most of the things, right? You're practicing things that you've learned, some things on your own that you've discovered, but
Yeah.
this isn't brand new. This is stuff
No.
that's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Century.
And it's amazing now because a lot of the science is quantifying.
Yeah.
It qualifies some of the things that the spiritual,
Yeah.
masters have said,
Yeah.
throughout centuries,
Yeah.
and so that's exciting. And one of the things that I talk about is belief. And belief sounds like it's a religious term. It's something but belief is what we talked about, the placebo. It is accepting, it's a type of thinking, it's a type of programming that you believe in yourself. You believe in what you're capable of doing. When I do hypnosis, it is a process of getting people to believe that they're going to receive something. That magic chair over there, that when I tell them, and this is when you sit in that chair, it's a done deal. Whatever we talked about, whatever we talked about, I give a free consultation to everybody. Matter of fact, I require a free consultation. I don't care if you know everything about hypnosis, we still gotta talk, because I wanna know where you're at. I wanna be able to tailor fit whatever I'm doing for you.
Right.
And that, but it's also getting the person to understand that you have the power. You have the ability to change your life in any way, shape, or form that you want.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's exciting, it's powerful, and then you can be that superhero.
They get to come in and tell you who they are, so you can help them learn who
Yeah,
they are.
absolutely. Yeah. Whatever it is, people come in with different things. Some people are, it's interesting because people come in and they have been dealing with something for years. And they are frustrated and they've tried everything, and and basically when they tell me about that, I say, this is the deal. You've been trying and seeking to do all this stuff with the 5%.
Right.
We're gonna use the 95% today, and that's when we see results.
It's true.
That's
They,
simple
right.
math.
That's right.
they tell you that you come in,
Yeah.
they come in, they tell you who they are,
Mm-hmm.
and then Dr. Rose helps you to see who you really are. Right?
That's right.
That's
It's all
what
about
it
it.
is.
They do the work. And when I don't call people, you asked me earlier, I don't call people patients or clients. I use client sometimes in advertising, but it's really we're co-participants.
Right.
I'm just, it's the example that I use about hypnosis is you want, there's a place that you want to get to. And at this place, it's your treasure. There's a treasure there. But you've tried to find this place and you can't do it. GPS don't work. In the boonies, GPS don't work there. You've tried, you've done everything you could. You kept on seeking to go to this place, you can't find it. And then you come to me and say, this is what I'm looking for. I say, oh, I know exactly where it's at.
Oh yeah.
I know exactly where it's at. I tell you, this is the deal. All right, it's you drive your car. You're driving. You control the steering wheel, the gas, the brake. You are in control. I'm simply going to sit on the passenger side, and I'm going to tell you to turn right, turn left, go straight, go back, whatever it is. And that's what it is. So I said, so there's no control there. There's no me under my control and everything. It's not that. It's your car. It's your drums drive. You can go as fast or as slow as you want.
That's beautiful.
I know the directions. If you'll listen to me, if you'll follow my directions, I will get you to where your treasure is. Isn't that cool?
That's
Very cool.
fantastic.
It gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
I say it 1,000 times. It gives me goosebumps every time I say it.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. And so And that's an amazing analogy. That's exactly what's happening. And I've been there. I've applied it to myself. I've studied this. I've been doing this a long time. It's been a work in progress. It's been a discovery process. You know, I'm still learning more. It's crazy. I discover something, and then I go, oh my God, and then I have to go and start reading neuroscience books and, you know, online and trying to come up with, well, how can this be? And then I go and say, oh, that makes sense. That is crazy. And then I said, I'm going to use it. You know, and that's how I did it. And you know, and of course now because of this discovery has challenged my intellect. So I apply my own techniques to expand my intellect. So now I'm smarter than I've ever been before because I have to be.
You're growing to stay ahead of that curve.
That's right, absolutely. And I'm constantly, so I don't come to a roadblock and say, that's way beyond me, I can't understand that.
Best way to teach someone.
I do the work on myself,
I
and
love
then I move to the next level.
Right.
And that's what I help people do.
That's fantastic.
Well, I think this is fantastic, and then we're gonna have so much to talk about in the future. It's great, so
Fun stuff.
awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, man. You guys are the best.
Thank you for making the time for us
Absolutely.
Thank you.
and for the audience.
Right.
Thanks for
Absolutely.
watching. We'll see you again
Very soon.